Jaziz versus General Towns.
I calculate that you will lose this battle, General.
General, our opponent has a stronghold in the middle of the city. His laser defense system is devastating, but requires lots of power. You will be forced to divert his power to one point of defense at a time. Use this to your advantage.
There you go, General. I've drawn the line in the sand. Now I dare you to cross.
I'm hungry.
Come and get me,
I will
General.
do the best I can.
Well, from the flyby, he doesn't look that much different from his zero-hour counterpart, but I do know all the different units that he does have, so I gotta make sure to stack my base up with anti-air, stealth detection. Can't rely on missiles too much because his tanks have point of area laser defense, so gonna have to skip on the Scorpions, probably go for some Marauders instead. Yeah, maybe leave out a bunch of defensive towers as kind of a buffer, you know, not to actually attack, but just to kind of cushion the blow while they try to move forward, and maybe run into a garrison since I got that one up to the east of my base, or west of my base. But that could be a problem. They have the microwave tanks and the advanced microwave tanks, and those can clean out garrisons, so yeah, those have to be protected somehow. Maybe with Marauders, or maybe with just really well-placed towers so that they attack the towers while they're in range of the garrison. That's pretty ideal right there. It's one of those strategies that only works on the artificial intelligence, because regular players would see right through that and get some artillery to hit that garrison, or maybe try to distract the towers and get a flame tank in there or something, but the AI just kind of throws everything it has at what it sees as the highest threat, so you got to kind of lure the AI into your most well-defended area. That's probably the best strategy for most of these challenges. The same logic applies to taking particle cannon hits from the enemy AI too. They're not really good at aiming that particular super weapon, so as long as you can trick them into shooting the right stuff, it costs you money, but they're not going to take out your infrastructure, and you're probably going to be able to get your super weapons up, and that's the most important part. And if I can take that second cash pile without them bombing me out of existence or rushing it with a bunch of tanks, I should be in pretty good shape. Though I'm definitely taking a hit or two from the particle cannons. Like I said, they should target stuff that's relatively easy to live without, I guess is the best way to put it. Or replaceable actually works better, since I'm just going to rebuild it anyways. Usually they go after your defensive towers and anything that's close to the front line that's also a tech building. So if you put your barracks forward first, they usually go for that first. Or if you make a line of stinger sites, they also go for that. But at least that's what I'm hoping, because if I put down a palace and then they blow it up and I can't get my super weapons up in time, I might have to take 2 volleys, and yeah, that could stretch the game time here from, 45 minutes, 50 minutes to an hour and 20 minutes, just because I have to wait for black markets to let my economy trickle back up, and that could be really fucking bad. Yeah, and the same thing's going to happen if they take out that other cash pile that I'm going to try to capture and get built up too. If I can't defend that properly, then I'll lose my secondary source of income, and I won't have enough to build enough tanks to fight them if they try to attack me on the ground, and that's a pretty big fucking concern, actually.
That artillery platform is no match for my airborne lasers.
Though it might be possible for me to just get by on garrisons. If they break through that garrison and I don't have any Marauder tanks or anything in the background, just, waiting to help protect, I'm probably going to die. Well, there's no probably to it, if that fucking garrison gets a microwave tank next to it and they fry all the infantry inside, that's basically it. A few stinger sites will keep the heat off your garrisons and units, but against the laser general, well, a lot of those Stinger missiles just aren't going to hit. They're going to get zapped down, so they're not going to stop anything. They're just armor, more or less. They should do pretty well against the Laser General's stealth aircraft, but the Comanches he has actually have laser defenses on them, so unless I build like 4 in a cluster, they're not going to be able to shoot those down very well either. So while I'm definitely going to use the Stinger sites and garrisons, they have to be backed up with quad cannons and Marauders. There's just no way around that. Unless I really want to gamble, like, super fucking hard. I'm already kind of gambling. In a way, I'm building this up to where I'm sure the AI is going to attack the area I'm defending. If they go off script and just attack my center or side, then this entire strategy could fall apart. But in my experience on this mod so far, the AI attack patterns aren't changed very much. It's mostly just the units and what they use to attack, so hopefully this works. That's just another reason to get the Marauders and quad cannons up. Having some mobile defense would be really nice. I'm not going to use them to attack the base because the point of laser defense will just rip up any hordes I send, but having only stationary defenses leaves you with a lot of weak points, and it's really never a good thing to do that. Not unless you have the AI on lockdown, which I don't on this mission. Fucking excellent. They attack just like in 0 hours, so as long as I keep them trying to attack that north area, I'm fine. Though I'm still going to build some quad cannons and marauders to make sure I can defend what I need to defend in case this doesn't work out. I'm really confident that this is going to be smooth from here on out. So I should probably shift gears here and start trying to rack up some General's XP. The quicker I get that cash bounty, the closer I am to a stable economy, because they're not going to stop attacking, but they have basically unlimited money. And I can't really depend on black markets to make up the difference because I need the room for scud storms, and I'm pretty sure it's more efficient to use the cash bounty and blow up a bunch of expensive units than it is to build a bunch of black markets. It just seems like one of those things that would take more time. In addition to that, powers like the nuke bomb and the parabombs, they're not going to be useful here at all since their anti-air is just going to zap that shit down. Not a really productive area to spend points. Ditto for the artillery. It's long range and I could use a long range weapon, but those missiles are just going to get zapped out of the sky instantly. I'm not going to be able to land a single one of them. I think in a normal fight, 1 versus 1, Demolition's a bad matchup against laser. And you can't use the Scorpion tanks because the Scorpion missile's just going to get zapped down. The artillery's practically useless. Battle buses could get some stuff done, but I don't know. Seems like a risky venture to me for the cost and the effort it takes to build them up. Quad cannons work really well, and the Marauders are definitely going to work well, but I don't know if they can really outgun the Laser General, especially with the long-range weapons that he has. You know, he's going to have the long-range option, and you're not, and he's also going to have tanks that can go toe-to-toe with yours, and while you could use some demo bikes, I don't think that that's going to carry you through a one-on-one fight with a proficient player. Fuck yeah, making some progress. Should be a lot easier with the cash bounty anyways. I think I might have this on lockdown now. Unless the modder did something crazy like change the particle cannon targeting so that they always go after your supers or something like that. That could be pretty frustrating because I don't think I'm going to be able to afford more than 2. Not without sacrificing some defensive structures. So if I have to redo this and try to get it done with just 1 super weapon, that could be pretty tricky. Though it's probably possible with just 1 super weapon if you use the Rebel ambush properly. That's not going to be easy with all the air units that Laser General has. Not to mention there should be Pathfinders in the base too, so unless you're really quick and accurate and can select those Demolition Rebels to attack the buildings at just the right ratio, you're probably not going to take all 3 of them out. Although just taking out 2 would be fine, I suppose. Could be worse. Yeah, I could think of a couple different ways to kind of truck through this if things went really bad, so I might as well turtle up and make some preparations since I'm not going to attack that main base. That's just not going to happen. I just don't have the units to do it, you know. Maybe if I had some shell-based artillery that's not going to get zapped down by lasers, or I was going to say some air units, but no, that wouldn't work out really well either. Demo bikes could work out, but again, I'd probably have to commit to a whole bunch of trial and error before I could get that down right with the demo bikes. They require a lot of finessing, and while it's not hard to outrun the enemy AI, they can all target you at once. You know, they can target independently and do all sorts of weird shit like that, so sending a bunch of highly vulnerable units that are quick into his bases not well advised. I mean, he's the fucking laser general. That's what lasers are best for in this game. They take out medium armored units very quickly, and they do a pretty good amount of damage against high armored units, but yeah, that's just not going to work. I could send a bunch of infantry out since they do work kind of good against laser, especially the armed mobs, and I bet with the RPG upgrade on the armed mobs, they just wipe them out, but once I get it to the base, the Pathfinders will wipe them out, so they wouldn't be any good for attacking the base, and besides, they're so slow that the point of laser defense would probably wipe all of them out anyways, so yeah, I can't really think of many weapons that I have that are going to be able to get through that point of laser defense or attack the point of laser defense designators from a distance without getting shot down by point of defense lasers. It's complex the more I think about it. But in 0 Hour, I always beat this challenge by just camping it out, so I don't see why that won't work here. Of course, I am facing 3 particle cannons this time, and that's pretty fucking rough, but, well, just as long as the AI can't aim it, I should be fine. Really, that shouldn't even be my main concern. My main concern should be if the laser general starts building some high-tier stuff like the rail guns. Yeah, those could be a big threat. If I don't have any kind of mobile attack force and they bring in the rail guns, then my garrison and defensive towers are just going to go. They're just going to get crumpled, so got to be ready for that. So demo bikes might come in handy for defense, just to take out things like the long-range cannons and that kind of stuff, but I really can't think of anything in Demolition's arsenal that's going to be super good for attacking the base. At least not head-on. Maybe I could use a sneak attack tunnel and get inside of it, but even then I still got to deal with that fucking laser. At least I think I might, but I don't know. I could be wrong about that. Tunnel sounds like a good idea, but you really can't go wrong with Scud Storms. They get the job done most of the time. Of course, one of the best strategies to level up quickly on this particular mission is to take out the garrisons. Lots of juicy XP there, but also if you have the cash bounty, it's a nice cash bonus, so it's basically just money and XP sitting there waiting to be taken.
Precision attack commencing.
Wait a second, where's the fucking particle cannon? Did they actually fuck up the targeting in this one? That's awesome. Even if the next 2 are right on the mark, I should be completely fine. You know, I haven't built my Scud Storms yet, so once all the particle cannons have cycled through, I can build them, and they'll be done well before 11 minutes. That's gonna be really, really fucking nice. That 11-minute timer is gonna make this so much easier. Well, that, and if none of the particle cannons can actually target me, then I'm basically invincible. Nothing's gonna be able to touch me. Yeah, I got this one on lockdown. They're not targeting any of the right shit with their particle cannons, and they're going right for my garrison with all the bulk of their units, so the 2 biggest threats to my base are pretty much neutralized. The only thing I'm worried about right now is, like I said earlier, the high-tech units. If they start bringing out artillery, then yeah, I'm going to struggle a bit, especially if there's anything like Aurora bombers. I forgot if Laser gets those in this particular mod. If he has Aurora bombers, too, that's just fucking gross. Oh, God, if he has fucking Auroras, that's just going to piss me off. Not much I can do about those, but I doubt it. That'd be too much. You know, they didn't send the siege cannons after you during the nuke match, so it'd be really weird if they just let the laser general go unchained. But you never know what you're going to get with the mods, so I'm going to prepare for the worst just in case. Again, maybe they don't even send Aurora jets. Just the threat of artillery alone kind of puts me in a tight position, because like I said earlier, I don't have a response for that. I mean, I could build my own artillery, but their basic tanks have point of laser defense, so they'll just zap the missiles down unless I build about 100 of them, and there's really no room for that here, and I think I can get better results from a garrison building, or maybe even battle buses, if it comes down to it. Though the laser defenses will stop most missile attacks, if you have a cluster of missiles, there's really nothing the lasers can do about it. It's just too much. That's where the artillery kind of fails. I just can't build enough of them to punch through the lasers. They're just going to get zapped down. So yeah, demo bikes might be what I need. They're kind of the go-to unit when your artillery doesn't work and your tanks don't work. since they usually outrun things like the point of laser defense, or I wouldn't say the laser targeting for the turrets or anything like that. Those will pop them immediately, but you might be surprised what can't hit the demo pikes when they're going full speed. Sometimes you can just drive right through the fucking center of an enemy base and blow shit up, and there's nothing they can do about it. I don't think that kind of thing's going to work here, though. Even if I can get past the point of laser defenses, I'm still going to have to get past the garrisons that are stationed at each entrance, and even then there's still RPG troopers, rangers, and helicopters just flying all around the interior of the base, so a bike rush isn't very likely to work here unless there's just some crippling AI flaw and they can just zoom right in. That's possible, but unlikely, so I'm gonna avoid that tactic because it just sounds stupid to me, but, you know, sometimes the dumbest shit is the most effective.
What do you want with me?
That being said, the artificial intelligence deals better with the rush than they do a turtler, mostly because of the way that their economy works, and like I said, in challenge mode, you can't rush the AI. They already have all their shit. So, yeah, light rushing units, not a great idea here. Good for defense, maybe, but not in the long run, since you're eventually going to face the high-tier units, and they're just going to outlive their usefulness, at least within about the first 10 or 15 minutes on average. And we're already well past the 15-minute point. I could be facing some high-tier stuff any minute now that would just annihilate those demo pikes, so what I need to go for right now are a bunch of Marauders. Nothing else I have is going to really be able to stand up to those laser tanks, and like I said, the Scorpion missiles are just going to get zapped. Now, the missiles that the Marauder tanks have as Demolition General, I don't know if they'll get zapped down or not, but they fire so many of them, they'll probably be able to get through and do some damage at least. It's the main battle cannon and the extra armor that the Marauder has that I'm most interested in, since the armor will let me survive enough to get through the front horde to get over to the artillery. Because if I make a bunch of tanks and they can defeat the other tanks but they can't get to the artillery, then the artillery is going to tear all my shit down and I'm going to lose anyways. So that's a concern. A few demo bikes in the back may help, but I think I can build enough Marauders to where any kind of horde that they send over is just not going to do the job. I'm actually kind of relieved. I expected a lot more out of this mission. You know, the 3 particle cannons are pretty fucking intimidating, and, you know, you just expect them to rip the shit out of your base, but once you realize that the artificial intelligence can't really aim them very well, these kind of challenges become way easier. If you treat it like you're fighting a player, you just won't get anywhere, because if you're fighting a player, they would just crush you right when the mission starts. They wouldn't wait for you to build or anything like that, so yeah, you got to keep all that in mind. They're poor with the particle cannons. They'll give you enough time to reach out and grab one of those cash piles, and generally speaking, it's beatable. It's just really finicky. It's not like fighting a human opponent at all. You got to throw all that kind of thought out of your head. You're not fighting a human. You're fighting an artificial intelligence program that's built to just toy with you and maybe dominate you a little bit if you make the wrong decision. But if you make the right decisions, they can't offer you much of a challenge. The USA generals are particularly easy to take out because the artificial intelligence just sucks aiming the particle cannons. They just can't hit shit. And in most of the fights, you can actually guide where they're going to use their particle cannons because you just know. You know, they're going to target the barracks or they're going to target your front defenses. It's just going to happen. And while they're super beefed income and the fact that they can send out a whole bunch of high-tech units out after you at about the 10-minute mark is kind of threatening, once you know it's coming, it's not the most difficult thing to deal with. You just have to concoct the proper counter, get the high ground, set up some sacrificial units to distract the big cannon, then attack, that kind of stuff. I don't really view it as cheap to have a little bit of extra knowledge about these missions because they cheat against you for the most part. You know, the artificial intelligence already has all their stuff built. They have basically unlimited income, although they do have cash piles. It's just kind of there for decoration since they can sell their buildings for a profit. And yeah, it's less threatening than it is when you think that your opponent's an actual player. Even the skirmish AI, the regular skirmish AI works a little bit better because it can be unpredictable. Although, if you pick the same configuration for every single map every single time, you tend to get the same results, but the skirmish AI just has more versatility. There's more things that they can do on the maps that you put them on. It may have something to do with the map pathing on the skirmish maps being better than the general challenges, but I don't know. I really don't think it's the map creator's fault. I think the AI is just predictable in that manner, because even on the skirmish maps, they will go after your most densely populated defenses first. They rarely go around the sides. They kind of just make a beeline straight towards your base. Once you figure out where the lanes are, where the artificial intelligence is going to send most of their units, there's not a whole lot that they can do to push through your defenses unless, it's the super weapon general challenge and she's just sending Aurora Alpha bombers, since, they're always going to hit. Fucking hate that mission, but this doesn't seem to be one of those missions. In fact, none of the other missions are like that. That one's unique in how shitty it is. Oh, that was harsh. I don't really mean that all the missions are shitty. I just mean that the super weapon general mission's shitty. That one has no common sense to it. It's just trial and error. I'll complain about that one till I'm done playing this fucking game. I think the biggest shortcoming these challenges have, besides the fact that the AI is predictable, is that most of them just try to put you on a timer with the super weapons and their big tank attacks. You usually get about 10 minutes before the first super attack, and then about 5 more minutes before they try to finish you off with something larger. Though not all the missions do that. Like with Tank General, he doesn't build his supers until you build one, and he just sends, heavy and powerful units out after you. He's kind of the exception. Just like Super Weapon General is the exception as far as shitty challenges go. The rest of them are just kind of samey. Sure, you fight different generals on different maps, but they all use the same strategy, so they're not really that different.
What are your conditions?
Ah, damn it. It feels like the Demolition ambush is less powerful now, but maybe I'm just not using it right. I'm used to just plopping them down, then blowing them up. Because they usually have a pretty big blast radius, so it doesn't matter if you cluster them up or not, but in this mod, it seems like you really got to cluster them up and use that use bomb vest attack if you want to do maximum damage. And it would have been nice to do maximum damage against that strategy center, since it would prevent it from building those rail tanks and maybe a few other things. I'm trying to remember what else they have on the high-tech level, but my main fear are those rail tanks, because, like I said, if they build a whole shitload of laser tanks and have maybe like 5 or 10 of those rail tanks in the background, Marauders may not be enough to handle that, and demo bikes may not be able to get through to those rail tanks either. Could be a real fucking problem. Though they haven't caused me any real damage yet, just the fact that I can't counter them without fighting their other units puts me at a little bit of a disadvantage. That's the other reason I'm going with the Scud Storms instead of attacking the base head-on. If I send a bunch of tanks up there, and I do get past the point of laser defense, I still have to deal with the artillery and everything else, and without a long-range solution that can actually get through to the enemy, I'm not going to stand much of a chance in any kind of attack. Even if I attack from 2 different angles, I still got to deal with the garrison buildings, and that's just a fucking nightmare I'm not prepared for. Maybe if I prepared for it and I knew exactly how much I needed to put through there to actually get inside, it would be a lot easier to pull off, but I haven't practiced on this map, so without running through it a couple of times, I'm not going to be able to pick up on little nuances like knowing exactly how many units to use to get through some of those barricades. All things considered, I'll probably get more done with a bunch of Scud Storms than I will a bunch of tanks. Pretty much everything about the defense that the Laser General has is built to take out those hordes, so I'm not going to be able to just push through with sheer power. It's all going to get zapped up. Now, if I were China and I had some flame artillery or some nuke cannons, this would be no problem. I just park my nuke cannon up there, pop a couple of those little laser designator towers, and once I have a hole cleared, I could just push through with a bunch of Overlords, Battle Masters, and Gatling tanks. The good old chess mix of the China armor. That would work just fine, but with just Marauders and quad cannons, it's just not enough, and my artillery's not going to cut it. I'm not going to be able to attack any of those other buildings with the artillery. It's not going to work. That kind of sucks. Really limits my options as Demolition General, since a lot of these generals just can't be hit with his artillery. It's too weak. Though he does make up for it with some pretty tough units, they're not the toughest, so when you're fighting somebody like Laser General who has a whole bunch of tough high-tech units, a bunch of anti-missile shit, and is really good against things like demo bikes. You're really out of creative options for defeating him. It kind of all boils down to either use the Scud Storm or come down with a really highly planned, very well articulated strategy that lets you rush in with a bunch of units and maybe a safe 3 or 4 minutes, but that's just not worth it to me right now. I don't feel like going through this mission 9 or 10 times just to figure out all the fucking nuances it has. For example, I heard a rumor if you take that top supply pile that he won't even attack that one, which is pretty fucking cool because, you know, I'd have triple the money, but unless I could get up there and start building, you know, 4 or 5 Scud Storms immediately at the same time, it's really not going to speed things up here.
Yes. Going.
Shit, maybe I shouldn't complain about this one being easy. That's a pretty fucking huge attack force, and they're not going towards the lane that I need them to go towards. This could end very badly. Well, I survived that attack at least. Maybe if I get a little bit of a breather, I can recover and have enough of a defense force. These guys right here aren't going to do the trick. Not if they're going to keep attacking down the middle anyways.
Just show me where they are.
Ah, fuck, there's more of them. This isn't great. It looks like their production's in full swing, so I'm just gonna have to defend the base with what I got, which isn't enough. Man, I have all my fucking Scud Storms right here. If I can just survive for about 3 or 4 minutes, I've got this. At least I can blow up their base before they can blow up mine. You know what? Fuck it. Change of plans. I'm gonna take what units I have left, run away, and hopefully they'll follow them up to the garrison. You know, I'm about to die more likely than not, but it is pretty funny that they can't decide what to attack. You know what? This is fine. Just let them attack the fucking command center, strafe them with the tanks. This can be controlled. I'm not dead yet.
You got something for me?
Oh man, I'm lucky the AI is stupid. Otherwise, I'd be fucking dead right now. There's no way those tanks would have survived if they were actually being shot at. Now I just gotta hope that they don't have more tanks on the way. Otherwise, I might not be able to defend this area. But I think just enough time has passed that they're not going to be able to blow up my base before I Scud Storm theirs, so I'm probably in the clear, but I can't be too sure about that until I actually see their base. Oh, well, never mind. Look at the Scud Storm timers. I'm done here. Unless they invaded my base right now and took out the rest of my tanks, there's no way that they're going to be able to stop the rest of the Scud Storms. You know what? I take back what I said about this one being boring. That attack at the end actually had me on the edge of my seat for a bit. I actually thought I was going to lose this one. That's what I get for being cocky, but, well, to be fair, I've done these missions like a dozen times in 0 hours, so, you know, considering they don't shake it up that much, my expectations aren't really high here. Can't really blame the modder either. That's just a fault with the engine and the AI itself. I don't think it's anything that they could easily fix. Because a player would know that those tanks had to have died. Even though I pulled them back, they needed to be blown up. And even if I brought them back in, they could retarget the tanks and blow them up, and I wouldn't be able to defend my base anymore. But instead what happens is that if I pull the tanks far enough away, the AI locks onto the command center thinking that's the most important building. Then when I bring the tanks in, it doesn't readjust the threat level. So the tanks were able to just roll over their fucking force. And even if they blew up the command center, I'd still have my Scud Storms counting down and I could still build more Marauders. And it's just one of those mistakes a player would never make. I mean, I make mistakes, clearly. Otherwise I wouldn't have nearly lost, but this kind of mistake is the kind of mistake that you can force the enemy to repeat over and over again, which means it doesn't matter if you're fighting GLA, China, or Russia, you can trick them into doing stupid shit that makes them completely fucking defenseless. They can't do a thing to stop you, even if they wanted to. It's like they're being mind-controlled by Yuri or some shit. Though the artificial intelligence isn't bad by any stretch of the imagination, it's no more advanced than the stuff in Red Alert 2 or any of the other games. It's just the same old kind of has to cheat to get by AI. And that's not even unique to RTS games. I mean, Twisted Metal had it, tons of other games have it, to where the artificial intelligence either has unlimited ammo or extra health or super aim or any of that other kind of stuff. That's why I got a lot of respect for Grey Goo. At least the artificial intelligence plays by the rules and still does okay, but even then, the AI for that game's kind of a pushover too, unless you stack things against your favor, which I just wish the AI didn't have to cheat to perform on a normal level. You know, I wish when I put it on hard difficulty that it was a good challenge 1 versus 1, but really can't find any RTS games that have that kind of a challenge for the AI. Not that I think it's easy to make AI for these kind of games or that they could just tweak a couple things and it would fix everything, but it is pretty frustrating that in so many games you're forced to fight with artificial intelligence that does have unlimited money or basically cheat codes, right? They don't stand a chance against humans normally, so they give them some tier 2 level cheat codes so that they can compete. And I really fucking hate that. These would feel more like challenges and not puzzles if they simply had artificial intelligence that would switch things up once in a while, or at least look after its own interest a little bit better.
We are victorious.
You defeated me, General, but I will scan your tactics and devise a superior strategy.
Now that that's out of the way, I'm kind of excited to see if this is actually broken. If I click continue and I see towns again, I'm actually going to have to change some of the in-game files to proceed.
General Jaziz.
Oh, that's some bullshit. I mean, you know, this game's free, at least the mod's free, so I can't be too harsh on the mod creators, but this is a pretty big fucking typo. They hit 6 instead of 7, so now the game's stuck in an infinite loop at the end, and if somebody didn't tell me about this bug, I would just assume that the mod ended here. I mean, I hate to fucking complain, but I jumped through so many hoops to play this game. I gotta fucking reinstall Shockwave every time Origin patches. I gotta put the launchers back in every time Origin patches. Most of my problems relate to Origin, so, you know, I can't really blame the mod maker or the people who made Zero Hour, but, you know, they don't fucking patch the game. They don't fucking patch the mods. They just let this game ride. It's a fucking great game, but nobody takes care of it, you know, and because of that, it's all janky and chunky and doesn't work online half the time, and the AI's kind of fucked up, and it just pisses me off, because it's a fucking great game, and it's been neglected so fucking much. At this point, I'm not even holding out hope for them to fix the GameSpy issue. I mean, they fixed it for Unreal Tournament when GameSpy went down. They took a fan patch, patched the game up. It works online now without GameSpy, but, you know, are they really going to fix Command & Conquer? I kind of doubt it. Oh, well. It's really not worth getting upset over. I was this pissed off about it, you know, back in about 2007 when they said they were going to stop patching Zero Hour when it was still broken, you know. That's just one of those things you got to deal with. Sometimes your favorite games aren't supported like they should be, but having to jump through a dozen hurdles just to get past all the Origin bullshit, just for the mod to put a brick wall in front of my face and say, no, you got to fucking patch the game yourself if you want to continue, that's fucking nuts. Anyways, this is another topic for another video. I could go on about this for hours. Bottom line, I fucking love this game. I love the mod. It's great, but just getting it to run can really fucking test my patience. It's a good thing the game's so fun. Otherwise, I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't do this for any other fucking game. That's for fucking sure. Anyhow, with all the time I've spent bitching about this patch, I probably could have applied it already, so I'm gonna go ahead and go do that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.